Hey guys, happy Friday! This week we talked a little bit about recording our inner conversation, those thoughts and questions and connections that we make as we read. We should be writing them down as we go so we can keep track of our thinking and it'll help us be able to understand or comprehend the story better. So, today we're going to be reading a book called My Hair is a Garden. Now, before I start, I want you to go ahead and get a blank sheet of paper. Remember how earlier this week we drew those 6 squares, or if you have sticky notes available, you can use 6 sticky notes. I want you to be recording those inner thoughts and inner questions that you're having in your head as we go. This will help you be able to write your main idea after this video and then add in some details to make that main idea into a summary. So, my hair is a garden. Now, as we're reading, be sure you're listening. Is there a problem in this story? Was there a cause of that problem? And is there a solution? And I just love showing this picture because we've got all these cute hairstyles here. I was always drawn to Miss Tilly's house. She lived 4 houses down and across the street from our house. There was something special about Miss Tilly, the way she found a use for everything and made up songs while scrubbing her porch, the way her house shone in the daylight with its vines curling around it. It took my breath away. You could say her house had a glory. Very descriptive language there. You can really visualize Miss Tilly's personality through that description. I used to run right into her house when I was a toddler, so when I was teased because of my hair, again, it was no surprise that I found myself running right to Miss Tilly's after school. She led me to her kitchen table where she'd been straining sorrel. Its pungent aroma and the smell of steeping ginger filled the kitchen. Pungent. So if you don't know what pungent means, it's very strong. If it's a pungent smell, it's a very strong smell. Aroma is also, it means, if it's a pungent aroma, it means it's a pungent smell. It's a very strong smell. When my tears came, a slow leak, a salty streak, she handed me a tissue and let me be for a few minutes. Miss Tilly knew if I was looking for comfort, I could go to Mama for that. She knew I was at her house for a reason. She set up a cup of the sorrel in front of me, and I took a sip. It went down smooth and tangy and broke through the lump in my throat. I need help with my hair, I said. It wasn't the first time my hair had been made a joke. I sort of got used to it. I'd shrug it off, or I'd keep my hat on, even when I wasn't supposed to wear it in class. But when Julio Richards, who I'd known since kindergarten, said, "We all know Mac's hair is always a mess," he said it like it was a fact. Like we all know the Statue of Liberty is surrounded by water, or we all know George Washington was the first president of the United States. How might she feel right now? Was that a very kind thing for her classmate to say? Folks have been poking at my hair since I was little, I told Miss Tilly. Mama's tried to fix it, but the truth is, she just doesn't know what to do with it. I could feel Miss Tilly's hand on my thick nest of a head. That touch gave me hope. I made a little song in my head. Miss Tilly's hair is shiny, Miss Tilly's hair is long. She wears it as a crown, like beauty wrapped in song. You know, Miss Tilly's hair was a glory. Miss Tilly called my mama, who said I could stay there for a while. Then Miss Tilly turned to me. "Now I'll show you how to shampoo," she said. Shampoo? I know my hair's a mess, but it's not dirty, I thought. Miss Tilly put a towel around my neck and led me to the sink. Normally, I would part your hair in quarters before shampooing, but it's a bit tangled and matted now, so it's best to shampoo first. We'll detangle when it's more pliable. For that, you'll need a wide-tooth comb. I already use a wide tooth comb, I said. Well, when I use a comb, that is. Miss Tilly took out a large comb with teeth that looked as far apart as the spaces in a garden rake. I nodded. Oh, right, I said. A wide tooth comb. We'll use this one for now, said Miss Tilly. Later on, when your hair is trained, you can go back to your usual comb. Trained? Did Miss Tilly mean she could train hair? Oh, yes, Miss Tilly replied. You've got to work with what you have, but you can still tell it what to do. Do you think my hair will be as long as yours once I get it trained? I asked her. Length doesn't matter, Mackenzie. Don't let anybody fool you. It's the health of your hair that counts. Miss Tilly ran the water sink. I guess you're right, I said, but I wasn't convinced. Would my hair always be somebody's idea of a joke? Would it ever be beautiful? Miss Tilly turned the water off. Which would you prefer if you had to choose? A healthy, shiny head of cropped hair or hair that's long, straggly, fragile, and full of split ends? Which one would you rather have? Were those my only choices? These questions were drowning out the song in my head. Miss Tilly looked at me as if she were reading my thoughts. She slowly pulled the towel from my shoulder and laid it on the kitchen counter by the sink, near the drained pot of sorrel. Come with me, she said. She steered me toward the screen door to her garden. Miss Tilly's backyard was a paradise with so many shades of green, bright pockets of colorful flowers and cool shade. I could barely take it in. It was as if someone had taken a big paintbrush and made bold strokes of green, then used countless little paintbrushes to fill in the details. We walked over to a bench and sat down. I inhaled deeply. The backyard didn't smell like the rest of the neighborhood. It smelled, well, alive. I wanted to know every part of this garden. I reached down to feel the ground. The earth was damp and cool. It felt like it was giving me something I couldn't see. How did you create this, Miss Tilly? I wanted to know. 30 or more years ago, I put some seeds in the ground, Miss Tilly said. I planted cuttings from neighbors and friends' trees, bought a few plants and bulbs from catalogs. I pointed to the tree Miss Tilly called a Japanese maple, the big one that draped gracefully over the garden. That tree was a cutting? I asked. Oh, that was a wee thing at first. The phone company men came through the yard one day and trampled over it with their boots. Got in the way where they were sitting to have lunch. I found it, plucked up clean, and woven into the chain-link fence. I gasped. What did you do? Oh, I cried, Miss Tilly replied. Paid $15 for that tree, and that was a lot of money for me at the time. But I put that tree right back in the ground and watered it every day without fail. I thought about how that little tree had survived and all the water Miss Tilly gave it every day, even though it just looked like a broken branch. I wondered if I would have given up and thrown it away. I leaned down and ran my hand over some tiny plants on the ground near the bench. What are these? Those are succulents. They hold a lot of water. Makes a great ground cover. They sure are pretty, I said. Now think, why would they be going out in the garden? What does this have to do with Mackenzie and her hair? Miss Tilly looked at me. Is that Japanese maple prettier than those succulents, she asked. Of course not, I said. Even though that Japanese maple's taller, she asked. They're both beautiful, I said, even though they're so different. As the words came out of my mouth, I knew that I believed it. Ah, she said, go back inside and put your towel back on. That was the day I first learned that my hair is a garden. My hair is a garden, and like every good garden, it must be cared for every day. The nutrients in the soil can be stimulated and enriched. My body is the soil for my hair. What I give to the soil comes back to me. I love to eat right. My words are like seeds that I plant. What I think and speak draws a yield. Now, when she said it draws a yield, it just means that it's growing something. You're able to get something from it. I weed out all opinions that have no place in my head. And down here in the picture, she says, it's too curly. Pull it back, straighten it, cut it off. She's weeding all of those opinions out that she doesn't need because they're not positive. Miss Tilly says, it's not what you start with in the garden that matters. It's the care, time, and attention you give it. My hair is a garden, and I give it love. And then in the back, it's got some tips and tricks, as well as some recipes for some hair masks. So hopefully we'll be able to look at that together someday. That is the end of the book. Now, here's what we need you to do. Number 1, take a picture of the notes that you took, that you were recording your inner conversation with. If you need to go back and listen to the story again to add a few more and fill in some of those squares, that is totally fine. But we need you to upload a picture of what you wrote down. 2, there are 2 questions below this video. One is going to ask you to write the main idea of this story. I will provide you with some sentence stems that you can use to help you write your main idea. The second question will be asking you to summarize this book. Remember, when we're building our summary, you can take exactly what you wrote for your main idea, just add some details to make it into a summary. A summary is going to be just a little bit longer and a little more detailed than a main idea. Please, please, please ask us if you need any help. Make today a great day. Have an awesome weekend, guys. We are so proud of you.